the Seattle Seahawks at Gillette Stadium, and I'm guessing that the crowd will be pretty good. I think.
Yeah,
right.
I think they'll be interested in what this team looks like in person.
More so than if they had lost
that
game on Sunday.
I can't think of a game. Ken and I were talking yesterday because he was asking about Florida State victory for BC versus the Bengals victory for the Patriots. The Patriots win was so massive. It cannot be overstated how that shifts everything. Where if they lose that game, 31-16, the conversation is immediately about Drake May, although Wiggy already started it anyway.
Yep.
And you're looking at a must-win Sunday to avoid going 0-4. And if Jerod Mayo starts 0-4, and Bill Belichick, and he's on TV everywhere, you're seeing the status of the situation, it changes everything to win that game. Now, win one of the next two, you're 2-1 heading to San Francisco, playing with house money before coming back for Week 5 against the Dolphins. Everything shifted with that game. Everything. The whole mood of the city improved.
Speaking of Bill on TV, you see that 617 text on the Subaru of New England text line? I will read it verbatim.
Oh, dear.
Listening late on the app, which you can do, by the way. You wake up late, you can listen to this entire show in consecutive order, or however you would say that, on the Odyssey app. So download it if you haven't yet. And I just heard Curtis's lead. Why is he obsessed with hating Bill Belichick? I feel like he explained it during his lead.
Yeah, I majored in it. But I would say it's a desire to correct the record. A guy that we were told was all about team has now added 2 championships to his total on his weekly spot with Pat McAfee. And he goes on yesterday. We all agree the biggest story of the weekend was the Patriots winning over the Bengals. Non-Tyreek related. On-field activity was the Patriots beating the Bengals. Agreed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So Bill Belichick goes on with Pat McAfee for 40 minutes. And these are the questions he was asked by Pat McAfee.
Yeah, let's stick to football.
Well,
COVID game in Carolina. There was no fans at the end of the year. They obviously come in, lay an egg. Bryce Young, now the whole conversation's going to be about him. Let's move to some other games. Is there anything to gain if you're MCDC to be like, yeah, we can win the Super Bowl this year, or does it legitimize any of these big wins? Well, the thought of you just being at DC again and getting back in that thing was wild. Is this natural for these rookies? We will talk about Kyle Shanahan's offense later in this discussion because massive Monday Night Football game.
vertical tease. Yeah, so
Not a question. Your issue is not a single question about that Patriots win to Bill Belichick from Pat McAfee.
what's the one thing you tuned in for if you're seeing Bill Belichick join Pat McAfee? How did the Patriots, and he could have even taken a victory lap. He could have said it was great to see Jerod Mayo. He worked under me. If he didn't want to talk about Mayo, he could talk about Keon Smith. He could talk about Keon White. He could talk about Jacoby Brissett, who he drafted. He could talk about Christian Gonzalez, who he drafted.
He drafted half the defense.
He could talk about his son coaching the secondary. He didn't say a word about it because he is petty.
So you think he goes all year without talking about the Patriots?
Oh, no, if they lose, he'll be all over it. You heard him with Matt Patricia. The people saying that he signed an NDA, open up your ears. Am I petty? You hear Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia do a 40-minute segment ripping the Patriots for doing everything Bill had already done. There is no non-disclosure agreement.
978 text Curtis, it's not Bill's team anymore. Why does he care to talk about it? He was fired. I wouldn't want to talk about it either.
Massachusetts.
He talks about them. He's talked about them several times. And that's what is most infuriating about this, is that this is a guy who's being paid $30 million to do nothing this year. And the team clearly tuned him out at the end. And that happens to everyone. It'll happen to Mayo at some point. But when you just state obvious facts, it irritates people. The Patriots played better for Jerod Mayo than they did for Bill Belichick, even though Jerod Mayo did things differently in training camp. It's okay. And the other thing, Greg, you and others were salivating for Monday morning when the Patriots get blown out by the Bengals to talk about, well, I guess mental reps don't really prepare you. Oh, I guess they missed the greatest coach of all time. So don't tell me this. Why are you talking about Bill when all of you people were ready to throw Bill down our throats when the Patriots lost?
Yeah, I underestimated, I guess. It's only 1 week, but
Right.
I will say that I underestimated the importance to today's player of the vibe and the coach who can relate to you when it comes to social media, and the coach who can take it easy on you. And in the case of Jacoby Brissett, the coach who comes to you before the game starts and says, you're going to win this one for us, and then you start to cry over it. I may have underestimated how important that is.
Well,
in
it works
today's
for
game.
Mayo, right? That's who he is.
It worked this week.
Yeah, this week. It's only 1 week because, let's be honest, if they come and they lose in week 2 against Seattle and
Wait. With the 1 week, though, Greg, if they lost last night or 2 nights ago, 31-17,
Yeah.
the people here that were mocking Jerod Mayo's training camp and the manner in which he was coaching would not be waiting a couple weeks. There was the pile-on in training camp.
Yeah, but I don't think Mayo's getting piled on.
I don't either, and I think it's going to take them losing for us to see how the players react with Jerod Mayo. Like, that's
Right.
We can't really do the comparison game between Belichick and Mayo between last season and this season until we see them facing some adversity during the season.
And I would say Mayo has already tied Belichick. In Belichick's first year, they won 5 games, which was 3 games fewer than Pete Carroll won the year before. Jerod Mayo's got 1 win, 3 games fewer than Bill had all last year, so he's already tied what Bill did in his rookie year.
But don't you agree that you need to wait and see for them to lose to see how players react to Jerod Mayo before you go on this rampage about how much better he is than Bill Belichick?
No, I would just say that obviously adversity will hit, but I think adversity hit in training camp.
But I'm saying during the season. Like,
Yeah, it won't really matter. It's not going to matter until they go, Courtney, you're right, until they go on a 2-3 game losing streaks and things kind of get a little bit,
dicey.
So last year, this same team didn't respond to adversity. So if it doesn't respond to adversity this year, how's that any different than when Bill was the coach?
No, we're just saying how they deal with Mayo versus how they dealt with Bill when the adversity hits.
Right, but if they don't hit it, if they don't handle adversity well this year, it's no different than the same team did last year.
Okay, but then I don't think that you can be like, oh, look at this. You guys all told me that Bill was the greatest of all time and blah, blah, blah. Like, you can't go on that because it's the same exact situation that Jerod's dealing with.
Well, that was my point all along, is that Bill Belichick wasn't the answer. So this is an opportunity for a new coach to show that he can be it, and I think it's refreshing that this approach has yielded results this early.
See, I think that's where I disagree with you, Curtis. I don't think that Bill wasn't the answer. I think the biggest issue with them last year, if we're just specifically talking about last year, was the player, your quarterback.
Yeah, it was the issues between Bill and the quarterback.
Right, but it was the player, your quarterback, right? The issues between Bill and the quarterback are issues because of your quarterback. If your quarterback is a team player, then there's probably no issues. So now it'll be,
if he wasn't a dink.
yeah, it'll be looked at like, okay, Mayo really, he loves Brissett, he speaks highly of him, but once Brissett starts to, if he performs poorly, then the question's going to be, okay, Mayo, it's now time for you to put Drake May in. And if the offense struggles, it won't be on Mayo. What we'll criticize Mayo for is his in-game adjustments, things in the game where he does wrong, where maybe there's multiple delay of game penalties, guys not lining up right, 10 guys on the punt team when there should be 11. We'll criticize him for those things, the operation, like we criticized Bill for the operation. So that's where the comparison is going to be. As far as the vibe and how things go, Mayo does it his way. Bill did it his way. And if the quarterback played better, there'd be no issue. It'd be like 2021, right? There was no issue in 2021 when they made the playoffs and they lost. I don't think the team felt like, oh, Bill's doing us, like we hate the way Bill's doing things. And that's kind of how we'll look at it and judge it. So it's still, like you said, it's one game. But if they lose against Seattle,
yeah.
We were told in training camp they couldn't line up right. The offensive line was a joke. The team was lazy. There wasn't the proper practice time. The way Jerod Mayo started practice an hour later was coddling. All those things.
Right.
were just a waste of air.
Yeah, that
So
was
to
a stupid narrative being
Right.
pushed by people that it made no sense.
Right, and so we're going to talk about how stupid that narrative was. At least let's correct elements of it early, which is that the team was what's your biggest concern if you have a lazy training camp? That you won't be ready to start the year.
Right.
Well, they were ready. We at least know that, or at least more ready
Right.
than the Bengals. So it's just about turning the boat into a slightly different direction than the narratives that were leading it all year.
Right. And
Yeah, I
last,
just think it's early to determine that Jerod Mayo is a more effective head coach than Bill Belichick was.
No.
I mean, I just we've all had
Just like it was early to mock him when you hadn't seen the team actually play a regular season game, but we did that
but
routinely.
I need a season where he makes the playoffs, or a season where they are an AFC championship team, or
Do you think you were quick to mock the way he was coaching this summer?
Well, no, because I mock everything. But I thought that I didn't think his approach was going to be as successful as Bill's was.
Right. And the whole reason he's here is because he's not Bill, because Bill's approach didn't work with this team.
Okay, but you're going off of one game.
Okay, let's talk
see how-
baseball. I don't care. We can do anything.
think
We're just reacting to what happened.
But do you think he'll get more wins this season than Bill got last season?
Yes.
You
I already
do.
said that. I have
Yeah.
the over 4.5.
Yeah.
But even if he gets one, that's the same as Bill did when he came in after Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll won 8 in 99. Bill came in 2000 and won 5.
right. I mean, the approach is we know it's different, right? We understand that, but it's,
And he knows it's different. He said
Right.
he's going to do it his way.
and it's going to be like last year. When you looked at those first two games last year, they lost to Philadelphia and Miami, both at home. We weren't complaining about Bill's approach. We were complaining about, did Mac do enough? Mac missed this play. I think it was the Keyshawn Booty play on the sidelines. It was a catch or something like that. I can't really recall. But it wasn't about Bill's approach. It was more about the performance of the quarterback that we were questioning, right? And obviously there was no real better answer to go to other than really Zappy at the time. So now when we're looking at this season, great job by Mayo. Goes down there, beats a good team on the road. The quarterback is fine, doesn't make any mistakes, does what he's supposed to do. We give Mayo praise. But I'm not going to knock Bill because of last year when to me, it wasn't that the team didn't buy in. I think they got tired after losing, and they were like, all right, we're kind of tired of this message or the packaging.
All right. Well, certainly the Jerod Mayo era off to a great start.
It is.
With a win in week 1, and we'll see what happens this week.